Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Happy Valentine's Day to you all, and I hope you're all managing to keep warm on this incredibly cold day. I'm Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry, and I'm joined today by Service Associate Larry Lavender. Pete Warnick's banjo, followed by Tad's piano, started us off musically today. And you'll be able to enjoy the music of Amy Austin, Emily and Tad Koryeth, and Petra Mensch later in the service. Our tech ushers for today are Herb Axe and Deborah Mensch, and I really appreciate all the behind the scenes work that they do to help us create these services each week. Most importantly, of course, are all of you who come here to be in community, to share not only your gifts, but your hopes and your dreams and your sorrows. You are the wonderful people for whom we do this. As I say our welcome words today, I invite you to shift into gallery mode if you haven't done so already, and scroll through the screen so you can experience the lovely diversity of this congregation. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways that you make your living and all the places you are from, you are welcome here. Christian, pagan, humanist, Jew, Buddhist, mystic, Muslim, Unitarian Universalist, with all of the traditions named or unnameable that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you've been away, nor how soon you will return, you're welcome here. And whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, we welcome you today. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome each of you today. I have a few announcements this morning. Following today's service, you can join one of the following breakout rooms. Larry Lavender will be available for discussion after the service. I will be with our intern, Lisa Moore, sharing about UU history and the principles and sources of Unitarian Universalism as part of our second in the Inquirers series. All are welcome to join that, but it is especially designed for newcomers. And BVCAN, Boulder Valley Community Action Network, our organizing arm of the fellowship, will have a breakout session about the Together Colorado legislative priorities of housing, police reform, and mental health bills. So after the service, you can join any of those or just be part of a coffee hour. In the coming weeks, we will have 3 occasions to watch movies together on Zoom while advancing our education and racial justice focus and 2 of our justice initiatives, mental health and immigration. On February 16th and 17th, UUs from across the country will watch the premiere of the informative, important documentary, The Black Church. So that's February 16th and 17th, and issues raised in that film will be relevant to our service on Sunday, February 21st, next Sunday. Then, to further our education about mental health and suicide prevention, on Saturday, February 27th from 2 to 5 p.m., our fellowship in the UU and the UU Church of Boulder are joining together to watch a private screening of the film Live. I've seen this beautiful film. It's about a vibrant young woman named Olivia who lived on the Front Range and took her life during her second semester of college. The film has been vetted for ages 14 and older. It was actually a documentary created by her sister. And there will be facilitated discussions for teens and adults immediately following the screening. And finally, you can learn more about immigration rights and our work with Ingrid and Kalada in Sanctuary at the UU Church of Boulder on Sunday, February 28th. At 4 p.m. that day, the Boulder County Sanctuary Coalition is holding a fundraiser with the showing of the film, The Undocumented Lawyer. And it's about an immigration attorney in California who herself is undocumented. So that's a lot of opportunities for connection amongst our fellowship folks and education in the area of social justice and caring. If you're new here, we're glad you found us and hope that in this virtual community, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here, so please come a few times to really get to know us. If you want to get better connected, please see the chat window for the link to our first time visitors page, or email your information to our office manager, Carol. Her link is also going into the chat. And be sure to check out the fellowship calendar and Connections Weekly for all the opportunities we have to stay connected. Finally, if you are new here and would like to introduce yourself in the chat, please do. We just love to know who's among us on Sundays. All are invited to stay for virtual coffee after the service or join in one of the other offerings, post-service offerings I spoke about. I now invite Ari Atarka, our preschool teacher of, I think 7 years maybe. I've invited her to share a few words about what the fellowship, them to share a few words about what the fellowship means to them. Ari?
Thank you. When I was being interviewed by Katie Covey as the new preschool teacher, it was a little over 6 years ago, not quite to 7 yet. I'd never even heard of Unitarian Universalism before. She had asked me if I knew what UU meant, and I had to admit that I didn't. So she sat down and painted a picture of a place for all types of people to come together in a spiritual home. And that was something that really resonated with me. And over the years, UU has become a really important part of my life. My very first Sunday here was the Merging of the Waters ceremony, which consequently is now my favorite Sunday. I love the idea and the symbolism of everyone coming together, bringing water from all over to make something sacred. That's been particularly hard this past year, trying to find ways to keep that community while we're all distanced. And it's been especially difficult with the youngest members here in our congregation. The School of Spirit has been making take-home kits as a way to maintain that togetherness and letting us have shared experiences through our Sunday Zooms. The moment that really hit me the hardest this past year was when I was dropping off the December kits. I went to a house to drop off a bag for a little girl that'd been in my class for a couple years, and she had lost her first 2 teeth. And I had missed it. And I went back to my car and just cried. It was just really sad to realize that I had missed that initial joy of this momentous part in a young kid's life. The fellowship has always been a place of peace and fulfillment to me. No matter how my week had been, I'd get up on Sunday mornings, come to work, sing songs, do our class activity, and I would leave feeling refreshed. This last week of Facebook memory came up of a Sunday a couple years ago where I taught my usual class, but instead of what I did, we did the whole thing in front of the sanctuary. And after the service, so many people from the congregation came up to me and just showered me in love. My heart was so full and happy. That peace, that love, and that joy are really what the fellowship has always meant to me. And I'm looking forward to seeing as the congregation continues to flourish, and eventually when we're able to rejoin in our building and just be together in physical space as part of our spiritual home. I am going to share a little song with you that me and the children have sung many times over the years. Joy, 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 overflowing. Peace, 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 everlasting. Love, 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 never ending and true. This is my gift to you. Joy, 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 overflowing. Peace, 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 everlasting. Love, 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 never ending and true. This is my gift to you.
Thank you so much, Ari. Aren't we so lucky to have Ari on staff? She has withstood all of our transitions and staffing and buildings and places, and even found a way to rework it so that she can stay connected to our little ones during the pandemic. So Ari, I'm so grateful, so grateful to have this connection with you and for your connection to the fellowship. We're going to light our chalice right now. So if you have a chalice at home, you can light it with me as I light our fellowship chalice. And as you know, we know that where all the chalices are lit, please write in the chalice lit in, and then just the name of your town. And you can say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And now I'll sing our bowl for a second time to invite us deeper into the present moment and into this beloved community. Following the chalice, we will pause for about a minute of silence together.
And good morning. On this balmy day for Eskimos, rather chilly for us, we are embarking on another Valentine's Day, where beloved community is focused on those nearest to us. And here are our opening words. You are not in church to be with people who want to sing the same music or rally for the same cause or attend the same retreat. We are in church to learn to love better. And learning to love better can only happen when we love past our disappointments and return to a place of acceptance and affirmation. This is true in our personal lives, in our work lives, and in our church lives. It is a deep spiritual practice. This quote was from Leila Ibrahim. And now we will sing together. One of our, even though it's not our main reason why we're here, let's sing one of my favorite songs. We Are is the name of the song. Number 1051 in the Teal Hymnal, words and music by Yisei Barnwell. Sing along at home.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one.
When I was young, the radio was full of romance. And I wonder if any of you remember this lyric from Take It Easy by the Eagles. Come on, baby, don't say maybe. I gotta know if your sweet love is gonna save me. Well, being someone else's salvation, I've come to understand, is an unlikely premise for an enduring relationship. Somewhere in the course of a love motivated mostly by wanting to be saved, one or the other, or perhaps both lovers, will be disappointed when the desired redemption just doesn't happen. The demands of maintaining a caring relationship will uncover the unspoken and often unconscious demands imposed on the beloved. This crossroad is both fraught with the possibility of falling out of love and the opportunity to take that relationship to a deeper mutual level. It is only in retrospection that I appear to be knowledgeable about this topic. Honesty compels me to admit that I was fully in the grip of pheromones and fairy tales, the myth of sex everlasting, and all we need is love. Happily, majoring in psychology, I read Erich Fromm's classic book, The Art of Loving, in which he insists, quote, love isn't something natural. Rather, it requires discipline, concentration, patience, faith, and the overcoming of narcissism. It isn't a feeling, it's a practice, end quote. It was a bit of a shock on first reading, as I was so into being validated as lovable and worthy of being saved by some sweet love. With a fair amount of disappointments in myself and my partner, and our mutual delusions over 50 plus years, we've learned to listen and seek workable changes as we grew in skillful communication and regressed periodically into seeking salvation where it wasn't available, in work, in politics, in communities, in relationships, and especially not in self-infatuation. In short, wherever we find disappointments, we find a doorway into becoming more fully aware of our needs, our assumptions, and limitations. In doing so, we could awaken to compassion and caring for ourselves and the myriad relationships that make up the living, spirited world, which so critically needs a host of intentional lovers in these uncertain times. Today, on Valentine's Day, we explore learning to love better, to see each other clearly, so that by caring deeply for our beloved community, we can turn the world around.
One way we show our caring and our love for the world outside of the doors of our congregation is by sharing half of our offering plate each and every Sunday. We give our plate away to those organizations that share our values. And on this Valentine's Day, we extend our love and offering to the Trans Youth Education or Support Group, or TIES, T-Y-E-S. TIES is a Colorado statewide group supporting all gender expansive youth, and that includes non-binary or binary transgender, gender fluid, gender questioning, gender queer, agender, bigender, or pangender, which is a longer and more delightfully comprehensive list of gender expressions than even the last time we supported TIES. TIES was founded by a member of our fellowship about 13 years ago and remains an all parent-run volunteer support network dedicated to helping parents support their gender expansive youth through peer support, dedicated to helping families find the information, resources, and understanding they need. Their first meetings were held at our fellowship. I'm honored that we continue to support this important work for gender expansive kiddos and their families, including families within our own fellowship. So please text generously as you are able. And after you've made your donation, I invite you to answer in the chat, where have you learned to love better? Thank you so much for all the places you shared about learning to love better. And now I dedicate our offerings for the work and the love of this fellowship, which is bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice into our world. And to the Trans Youth Education and Support Group, also, we dedicate all of our offerings. Blessed be.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Are you familiar with the concept of the 5 love languages? In his early years as a marriage counselor, Dr. Gary Chapin, who also actually has a master's in divinity, noticed over and over that couples would voice similar complaints regarding their marriage. One spouse would say something like, "I feel like he doesn't love me." And the other would protest, "I don't know what else to do. I'm doing everything I should be doing." There's Gary for you on the screen. Dr. Chapin recognized a pattern and poring over his years of session notes. And he asked himself, when someone said, "I feel like my spouse doesn't love me," what do they actually want? Surprisingly, he found that their answers fell into 5 categories. The love languages that Chapman noted were words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Folks tend to have one primary love language. It's their go-to, and then a secondary one that they still sometimes go to. And most folks live out the golden rule in their love relationships. Do unto others as you wish others to do unto you. We dish out love as we wish to receive it. Instead, however, love asks us something else, something that's sometimes even harder. The platinum rule, as it's called. Do unto others as they wish to be done unto themselves. Treat people the way they want to be treated, not the way you want to be treated. Now that takes attunement to your beloveds and adaptability. Now you may be surprised to learn that I'm a words person. I deeply appreciate words of affirmation, and I seek to regularly offer affirmation and love in my words to others. And although I grew up secure of my parents' love for me, their verbal affirmations were sparsely delivered. They were regulated for special occasions like graduations or my wedding, sometimes just a little whisper in my ear, a little "I love you." My parents were children in Italy during the 1940s. They were raised in the war and through difficult times. And it created in them a dutiful, role-bound practicality. So it was somewhat of a rigid household, but not without love. But their love was offered in acts of service and sacrifice. And as a child, that mismatch was sometimes painful for me. During my second year of seminary, the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Parker, then the president of my seminary, required a 1-credit course she called Watching Over the Love. We are to pay attention to where we saw love operating in our lives and then have a conversation with her about it. And that was it. That was the class. It was transformative for me. Because when I began to tune into how love was offered to me in many ways, I began to see love all over the place. And especially with my parents. I was 30 then, still kind of developing into my own differentiation from my family, even though I'd lived 3,000 miles away for many years. But I realized, I began to see that my parents were offering love rather than the way that I felt it should be offered, but in the way they offered it. And then I was amazed by the multitude of small acts of service that they offered as an embodied love. I remember one particular birthday. The fridge in the condo where we were staying was small and packed with food. While few words of appreciation were spoken that day, my father had taken the time to go out and buy champagne and fill the sink with ice so it would be chilled in time for a birthday toast for me. Now, as can be generationally predicted by family systems theory, in my own household now, I love you is heard just about daily. And at this point, it gets an eye roll from my kids. So who knows what their household will look like. Now, when it comes to intimate relationships, even in the most attuned ones, there are times when nothing your partner can do is right. The pandemic and all this time together is having that impact on some partnerships for sure. Sometimes it actually is true that the match isn't right and the needs are too disparate to be met. But other times it's grief and unresolved pain from other parts of one's life that gets in the way. And of course, because our life is messy, we're messy, some combination of both is woven into the threads of every relationship. In a long partnership, those painful times of misalignment are inevitable. My husband Phil and I are generally good about speaking each other's love languages. I'm very, very grateful to that. But after my father died and my own little family here in California simultaneously went through a crisis, my own grief and unresolved loss was in part transferred onto this beloved husband that I have. That, of course, did not play well with his own coping mechanisms, and there was much disconnect between us for far too long. It took a while on my part for me to separate out my own grief and then realign with that deep well of love that was always there, even in the mismatched communications, but hidden behind the challenges of life's pains. Sometimes it is so hard to feel so darn human. And that's where learning to love better comes in. A few weeks ago, my son Angelo asked me for my favorite Bible verse, which I have to say was a surprise even for his minister mom. But immediately I thought about 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It's a favorite at weddings. Some of you could probably even recite it with me. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Now that's incredibly sage advice for a marriage. But I need you to know that the original context of that was broader than just the intimate love between two people. The word love in this verse is translated from the Greek agape, that unconditional love for all of humankind that inspired Dr. Martin Luther King's quest for the beloved community. A love so great that it welcomes everything in its midst and it overcomes hate. And in fact, the verses just before those in Corinthians chapter 13, from Corinthians chapter 12, are all about honoring diversity within community. but they're rarely paired with the beautiful words of Corinthians 13. Some folks say it's, because we have a very individualistic and small view of intimacy and love in our Western culture. But here's Corinthians chapter 12 for you. As I say these verses, I interpret the word Christ as a Christian beloved community, and so I invite you to do the same. Corinthians 12. Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all of its parts form one body, so it is with Christ. Now, if the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it would not for that reason stop being a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But God has put the body together so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. Now you are the body of Christ, the beloved community, and each one of you is a part of it. So when we put that next to this or before this other reading about love being patient and kind, we can see that the love that's being talked about there is a love of intentional community, that we can learn to love beyond our difference in this community as we learn to love in families and in our most intimate relationships. In some non-Western cultures, like the Daraga people of West Africa, intimacy is not designed for encouragement of the achievement of personal happiness, like we might think of it here, but rather for the fulfillment of one's larger life purpose, for the enrichment of the village, and for the expression of spirit. Intimacy is a mean of offering the gifts that you carry. Learning to love is a communal act of appreciation, of adaptation and attunement to one another, so that we may together bring about the vision of beloved community that is anchored in a radical inclusivity that welcomes each part of us as it welcomes each person's and all beings as a part of the whole. Our communities may have disappointments, miscommunications, and challenges, but it is in these settings that we learn to love. On this Valentine's Day and in all of our tomorrows, may we experience widening circles of love, attuning ourselves to all of the expressions of love, and doing our own part to create beloved community. May it be so.
It is my honor to welcome these new members to our fellowship. We welcome you in your brokenness and in your beauty, especially in these times when our interdependence is so clear. I'm delighted by your choice to walk along with the fellowship on your spiritual journey. I'll start by introducing Tanya Fish, co-chair of Path to Membership.
Good morning. I'm Tanya Fish, Path to Membership co-chair with Rachel Setsky. We are here with you to welcome and covenant with individuals from the January 23rd class as they become official members. Herb will be sharing a slide with pictures of the new members so you can start to get to know their faces. All of these terrific and diverse people bring their yearnings and passions, and they nourish our community by their presence. Getting to know them during the class as each one reflected on their religious journey is one of the joys of being a co-chair. Pictures and biographies of the new members will be sent out in your email tomorrow. Join us now as we officially receive them into this fellowship through our covenant.
I now invite you each to state your name and where you live so we might greet you. After each person speaks, feel free to welcome them in the chat. And I'm going to call out each individual name one at a time so that we can just kind of go with a little bit of a flow there instead of woohoo all at once. So Faye Anderson.
Hi, my name is Faye. I am in Westminster and I live with my kids and a dog and a cat. And for profession, I am a college professor and certified archetypal consultant. And I used to have a lot of hobbies, but right now it's just limited to what I can do given the circumstances. And thank you for having me. Thanks.
Welcome. Kathleen Jones.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Jones. I live in Broomfield.
Thank you. Carol Pranchke.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carol Pranchke. I live in Longmont and I like to write plays.
Thank you. Welcome. Karen Smith.
Hi, I'm Karen, also Karen Smith Toomey when I use my married name. I live in Westminster and I'm realizing I'm blessed to have a name that reminds me every day of my white privilege. I'm glad to be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Becky Vanderslice.
Hi, I'm Becky Vanderslice. I live in Longmont. I've been active in various churches in the Denver metro area, but I'm very glad to be joining your congregation at this time. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Trudy Wood. Trudy?
Can you hear?
I can hear.
Okay, I'm Trudy Wood. I live in Broomfield, and I'm very excited about becoming a member of the fellowship.
Thank you and welcome. We hope that as a member of this church, you will allow yourselves to know and to be known, to minister and to be ministered unto, to love and be loved by this congregation. The relationships we form in our fellowship are based on the needs of the soul, needs that render each of us vulnerable and therefore reliant on each other's grace and the goodness and generosity of spirit. Historically, Unitarian and Universalist congregations are part of the Free Church movement. This means two things that are important to what we are doing today. First of all, Unitarian Universalism is a freely chosen religious path, even for those born into the tradition. Second, our faith requires no allegiance to a creed as a litmus test for membership. We respect each individual's spiritual journey, and we come together to support each other as we collectively seek lives of integrity and wholeness. That doesn't make it an easy faith by any means. You are invited to grapple with your faith and bring your values into right action among us. Congregations, even free ones, are covenantal organizations. We bring our best intentions together to nurture our own hearts and souls towards wholeness, to build beloved community within these walls, and to bring justice where we see oppression. And when we fall short of our aspirations, and we will, we invite each other back into covenant. We do all of this guided by our Unitarian Universalist purposes and values. Will you all join me in saying our new member covenant As you will see in the slides, Tanya will speak for the congregation, and we'll unmute you all at the end to give a nice cacophonous cheer.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees, it is my privilege to welcome you as the newest members of the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We hope you find with us a place where you can both nurture your spirit and be a part of healing the world. Will the new members please unmute yourselves?
Joining you
in
In
membership,
we covenant to journey with the
spiritual community,
learning and serving together.
Ours is a religious community which honors the past, envisions the future, and lives with passion in the present. As we welcome you among us, we pledge to you our support. You will be cared for, and you will be asked to care for others within and beyond this community.
We offer our energies,
our
talents,
talents,
and our resources
to
to
build
build
a
a
community
of
of exploration and depth,
integrity,
and compassion.
And
We are eager
to
to
merge
merge our religious journeys
with
with
this
this fellowship
and
and serve in the work of justice and hope.
Today, we rededicate ourselves to our vision of bringing love and reason to life and building a just and compassionate world.
Sorry, Tanya, you got caught on an unmute or a mute there.
I'll just start over with that slide. Today, we rededicate ourselves to our vision of bringing love and reason to life and building a just and compassionate world. Together, we can make our congregation a model of our vision for the larger community. In the spirit of love and freedom, we have affirmed our intentions to help and encourage one another. May the relationships we have recognized today be a source of strength and joy for all.
Yay, welcome.
All right, if you haven't already, please unmute and give a little celebration. You should be able to use your
So glad to have you. So glad to have you. Yeah.
Now let's continue celebrating together by singing Turn the World Around.
We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Whoa, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know and fire make the sunlight turn the world around. Heart is of the river, body is the mountain, spirit is the sunlight, turn the world around. We are of the spirit, truly of the spirit, only can the spirit turn the world around. Oh, so is it like a batiwa, so is it like, oh, so is it like a batiwa, so is it like, oh, so is it like a batiwa, so is it like, oh, so is it like a batiwa, so is it like.
That's pretty good.
Yay!
That was great. Thank you, Tad and Emily. Now I'm going to invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. And it looks like we'll run a little bit past 11 today, so hang with me if you want to be a part of this time. And of course, there's lots of offerings after the service as well. So if you'd like to share a joy or a concern, please raise your hand by clicking the reactions at the bottom of your screen, or look behind more if you don't see a reactions icon, and then click the raise hands button. Tech Usher Deborah will unmute you, or you may see a pop-up window asking you to unmute yourself. If you prefer, you can share your joy or concern in the chat by sending a chat to everyone, and then I will read aloud what you send. When you do share, whether it's by voice or by chat, please tell us your name and where you live, and briefly let us know what is in your heart today. And then I will put a stone in our sacred waters on your behalf. Beloveds, today as our prayer, I share this poem from the Reverend Dr. Hope Johnson. She passed away last November, and she and I served on the board of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association at the same time between 2010 and 2012. She writes, "We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know one another, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one. May it be so." Please join me in singing our final hymn, How Could Anyone? It's number 1053 if you happen to have a teal hymn book.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
And now, in the spirit of love of this beloved community, we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Beloveds, let us go forth, seeking to learn to love better, bringing joy and justice into the world, creating the beloved community. May it be so. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Stay warm.
Thanks everyone for being here with us today. If you'd like to take part in the Inquirer Series discussion on UU history principles and sources, or the legislative discussion with BVCAN, or if you'd like to chat with Larry about the service, or if you'd like to chat in an unstructured way in a virtual coffee hour, you can do that now. And if not, have a great afternoon. If your Zoom is updated, you should see a breakout rooms button among your Zoom controls, and that means you can choose your own breakout room today.